This is In the Loop. I'm Christian Bryant. Spring is just around the corner, folks. Is that what it is? Yeah, I see it coming. And what better time to get a fresh start, maybe make some changes or make some amends. Today we're talking about apologies, but not just any apology. The infamous, the ubiquitous celebrity apology. What makes it worthy of forgiveness? And with a deep dive into the world of pop culture, you know it's time to kick off our next season of Pop Quiz. And that means it's time for a warm welcome back to our entertainment correspondent, Casey Mendoza. Casey, what's poppin'?
Hi, Christian. Good to be back. I hope you're not too rusty from the break. So we're gonna warm up with one of our favorite things, a quick quiz. I'm gonna tell you now, it might be a little bit tricky, but can you tell me which celebrity said the following quotes? "Violence in all of its forms is poisonous and destructive. Jokes at my expense are a part of the job, but a joke about was too much for me to bear and I reacted emotionally." Can you tell me who said that?
So I have a pretty good feeling this is Will Smith's apology after he smacked the spit out of Chris Rock's mouth. Am I on point here or am I off the mark?
You are 100% correct. Last one, and I think this one is more easier to see than it is to read, but I'm gonna do my best to read it out loud for you. Guys,
okay.
I did something unforgivable, so do not defend me. It was 2 a.m. and I was Ambien tweeting. It was Memorial Day 2. I went too far and do not want it defended. It was egregious, indefensible. I made a mistake. I wish I hadn't, but don't defend it, please.
Casey, did I write this? Who made this apology?
I sure hope you didn't write that. That apology was written by actress Roseanne Barr.
These apologies go a long way in kind of recognizing what these people did, how it affected folks. Nobody really saying what they're gonna do better in the future, though. Am I onto something here? I'm guessing that's a pretty important part of crafting an apology, right?
You're getting to the whole fun we're gonna learn today. I tried to pick celeb apologies that had a few hints in them, but it turns out that's pretty hard because a lot of them sound very, very similar. The celebrity apology has become a bit of an art itself, and we're familiar with the patterns and the formula by now. Some are bad, some are very bad, and some can be pretty effective. So today we're going to ask what makes a good celebrity apology. To answer this question, we had to get into the world of crisis management for the rich and famous, some infamous presidential apologies, and a certain John Wayne movie. So first, one of the most crucial pieces of any apology, sincerity. Arguably the biggest factor in whether a public apology earns forgiveness. So how can celebrities convince the public they really mean what they say? Part of the challenge, ironically, is how easy it is to make celebrity apologies these days. As philosophy professor and noted apology expert Alice McLaughlin pointed out,
we used to trust public apologies more when they were more rare and when they seemed more risky. So in a sense, apologizing publicly as like a practice is a victim of its own success. Now, as it's become more and more common to apologize publicly, such that we have like tropes of apologizing publicly, you can go online and see parodies of public apologies or step-by-step guides for how to write public apologies. There's even jokes about the medium that's used.
And I know a lot of you thought my last apology was insincere. You were right. I was lying. But this time, I mean it.
Social media platforms like YouTube and Instagram have given all celebrities and influencers a way to seem more authentic in apologies by connecting directly with us, as opposed to, a more formal press release. This gave rise to infamous Notes app apologies, which we've seen again and again and again.
Okay, I am not going to post a apology.
Painted as a liar.
Taken out of context.
I'm sorry for any pain that my actions may have caused.
I truly apologize, as this was not my fault.
And believing women is the first choice we make.
I intended to
listen and learn about other people's perspectives.
I apologize and I love you.
Publicly supporting someone.
I would very much like to be excluded from this narrative.
If I see a Notes app apology right away, I'm calling Codswallop. They don't mean it.
The Notes app apology was originally very well received because it has this feel of like you're sharing the innermost thoughts, that this is a diary, but it's overused, significantly overused.
Some crisis management experts like Eric Schiffer point out that if a celebrity is best known for communicating through a certain medium, like YouTube, apologizing in that medium can work. But of course, there is a cost to using a formula.
The last thing you want is to have this look like it's drafted or concocted or strategized by others. It needs to be their voice, their words, their feelings, and it should be within a platform that they own.
Another big factor in a successful apology: timing, and specifically speed. Over the last few decades, we've been given more access to celebrities through the rise of tabloid media, television talk shows, and of course, social media. This not only gives celebrities more chances to make a mistake, but also more chances to try and correct it. Our expectations for immediate public apologies has grown too. PR veteran Phil Lobel notes the hyper-fast news cycle changed the industry itself, including his work with A-listers.
The real change in the PR business is when you only had a half a dozen outlets in the media or, on TV, not this 24-hour, minute-by-minute cycle. Of course, it was so much easier to control the dissemination of information on what their clients were putting out to the public. A rapid response is usually necessary to stay congruent with the news cycle, which is constant and never-ending.
And finally, there is accountability. How much does an apology take responsibility? In a study on effective apologies, researchers at Ohio State University and Eastern Kentucky University found the best received apologies had all 6 of the components listed here. But the most important one, by far, was the acknowledgement of responsibility. Unfortunately, that can also be the trickiest part, especially for the dreaded public apology.
I have one A-list star over the last decade that would not, irrespective, issue an apology. And I've had other celebrities that it just wasn't real for them. They couldn't do it. They would not accept responsibility because they didn't feel that they did anything wrong.
Perhaps one of the most infamous examples came not from a celebrity Notes app apology, but a presidential address.
It constituted a critical lapse in judgment and a personal failure on my part, for which I am solely and completely responsible.
In 1998, then-President Bill Clinton apologized when he admitted to the affair with Monica Lewinsky, the first of many apologies. Polling afterwards found Americans were split on whether his apology was sufficient and evaded responsibility. He did not directly apologize to Lewinsky at first, nor specifically describe what the it was that he was taking responsibility for.
I am profoundly sorry for all I have done wrong in words and deeds.
He would go on to apologize multiple times, noting, "I'm having to become quite an expert in the business of asking for forgiveness." He's still having to address the questionable apology as late as 2018.
Do you feel like you owe her an apology?
No, I do. I do not. I've never talked to her, but I did say publicly on more than one occasion that I was sorry.
Bill Clinton is an interesting example because he was so much more eloquent when he was apologizing for national wrongs.
Ed Battistella is a linguist who has written extensively on the nature of apologies, as well as insults in politics.
But when it came to his own behavior, he had some more skin in the game, shame-wise. And it took him, I think, about 5 tries to really get a serviceable apology. I think American culture is very sort of hooked on this idea that an apology is a sign of weakness.
Ed pointed to the John Wayne movie She Wore a Yellow Ribbon as a formative example of this pop culture idea. Wayne's character has a popular catchphrase that often gets attributed to the actor himself.
Never apologize, mister. It's a sign of weakness.
Apologizing has also been rather gendered in American culture. The idea that masculinity and toughness means never having to say you're sorry. Though it's worth noting, later in that same movie, John Wayne's character reassures someone about the importance of taking responsibility.
I get no never to apologize. It's a sign of weakness.
Yes, but this was your last patrol and I'm to blame for it.
Only the man who commands can be blamed. Rests on me.
All right, so let me recap real quick here. If I am a celebrity and I need to publicly apologize, I want it to be sincere and not generic. I want to do it quickly after getting called out, and I want to acknowledge my responsibility as specifically as possible. Do I have that all right?
Exactly. Public apologies are different from personal ones for a lot of reasons. It's for a wide audience. It's about image repair, and there isn't that sort of goodwill you'd have if you were apologizing to a friend or family member. You have to work extra hard to earn trust. But in many ways, the lessons I learned about what makes a good public apology are just as relevant for people like us in our own relationships.
I have a very brief anecdote. I had a dream not too long ago that I got canceled for something. And so I feel like getting through this segment is letting me know exactly what I need to do when that happens. Hopefully, I never find myself having to issue a public apology to my, 6,000 Twitter followers. Not that many, but this is great to keep in mind. Casey, thank you so much for joining us for another pop quiz. I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to do this sooner, but I take responsibility for my actions, and I will work harder to make sure that this happens sooner in the future. How did that sound?
That sounded like you hit all of the points, so hooray!